Welcome back, everyone, to the Fight Against Boredom Starborne Players Podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Fecca.
And I'm Branks Pro. And today we have with us somebody that's kind of new to us, but we've met him in the last Deadzone tournament and he knocked us off our feet. Kolbjorn. What's up, dude?
Hey guys, glad to be here.
So, where are you from? You
Uh,
just showed up out of nowhere and you know how to play, dude.
yeah, that's a very subjective statement. So, I'm from Finland. I'm a university student studying to become a teacher, and I was thinking about what to say about how I got into Starborne, and I tried remembering what it was. I've been playing for like 2 months, almost 3 months. Server 9 was my first server. I think I saw an ad on Facebook and I was like, oh, it's a free game. Well, I'm always looking for those to play with my friends. So I downloaded it, I got into the server, and I tried it out. Made my own single man alliance. Started building up everything. And then maybe 2 days in, I was still playing. I was like, okay, this is interesting. I like to test these kinds of long games out. And I saw that Purple, our moderator, was recruiting for their sub-alliance, Oligarch University. And I applied and got in. And I started climbing the ranks, and it didn't take long after the leader of that sub-alliance had to step down because he had job things to do, and I stepped up to the occasion and took over and started leading the sub-alliance, and we managed to score just one third place finish, but a win nonetheless. And
For sure.
now I am one of the three oligarchs leading the Eternal Galactic Oligarchy in server 19.
So truly a rise to fame, in a way. And it seems like you've done it through merit as well.
Yes, I have more time to play than I'd like to admit. And as it is, Deadzone came around shortly after I joined, and I started looking forward to it. I started seeing the snippets Nugums was giving out, and it looked very interesting. And then when the tournament was announced, I sent in my application. Probably I was the first one because I was so hyped, because it sounded extremely interesting to me, because I like game modes or games which pit you against others in kind of like I like to play battle royales. I think Deadzone is something akin to a battle royale, and then in a certain time limit you need to compete against these others, and in an intense way, and then rise up rise to the top. And yeah, what happened in that tournament, well, there's lots of video evidence what went down there.
How did you feel about like streaming it? Like the aspect of being stream sniped, was that never a worry, or don't you care?
So my biggest worry going into the first Deadzone tournament was that I was such a new player. I really didn't have much idea what I was doing. I tried reading up. I read a lot. I listened to Triss and Snoogums on what they had to say, and tried picking up good advice, which I then parted onto my teammates in the tournament. What was the question again?
Weren't you worried about possible stream
Yes.
sniping, because you were streaming both matches, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So, stream snipers. No, I was not worried because of the fact I was so new. I didn't really think anyone would really think to watch me to gain an advantage, because I was such a new player. But yeah, my number one worry was that since I was new, I didn't know anyone. So I couldn't make up good alliances on the spot because people already had established
Groups, yeah.
game. But no, that wasn't a worry for me.
I gotta say, I was one of the people watching you on the second day, being someone that got eliminated from the first one. It took everything out of me not to message Branks. I know I've messaged this, I've mentioned this several times that Branks is sitting there in first place, and I see Kolbjoern going and lining up the sabotages to land right as the game ends on his fortress that's going over the 10-point victory condition, the ever living layer. And I'm just like, like Branks, no, like it's gonna happen. And they're like doing them after one after another. I'm like, like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna sit here. I'm not gonna do it. Like, it's not the way to do it. But it's just like, it's funny. It crosses your mind when you're just like, like this. It does open up the door to it, nonetheless, right? Like, even if you don't think you're that. But yeah, I guess the nothing to lose mentality, I think it's definitely. I got a lot of people to stream, right? I think that's what you saw, overwhelming numbers of people willing to stream the first day. But making it to the second day, I think you guys were probably sitting around 20 each of you road hip when I was bouncing back and forth, right?
Yeah, you mean the viewers?
Yeah, viewers, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And so, oh god, I lost my train of thought. Did you ask a question?
No, you're good. I mean, anything you want to say, anywhere you want to go, wherever your train of thought does take you, we'll follow along, so it's never a problem. Basically just anything about Deadzone. I mean, that can kind of get us into exactly kind of transitioning from the old game kind of now into this new game that we'll be playing tomorrow. Specifically, I guess you'd start with the updates. How have you felt about any of the updates, either Cold War Branks?
Give me a sec here. So you said you didn't stream, or you streamed first Deadzone tournament because you thought nobody would bother looking you up, not a household name. Now that people recognize your name after what you pulled off, will you approach streaming this weekend's Deadzone the same way, or are you worried now that people know, oh, Kolbjorn is streaming? Let's see what's going on.
Short answer, no, definitely not. And I saw you, Feka, already discussing about putting on a stream delay, and I also contemplated that. I tried weighing the benefits with having that, but no, I don't think I want to be able to interact in real time with people in the chat in any way I can. If I just can alt tab or use my secondary screen, like it's such an intense game, which I like about Deadzone, that is so intense that you really don't have much time to do anything else. But I try to look at the chat and I try to answer questions to maintain the dialogue, you know.
So I was actually contemplating that, like you mentioned, you saw me kind of talking about it. One of the big things I realized when I was playing Deadzone, unlike when I streamed Starborne Space, is I did not have the time to look at chat, and every time I did, I realized everyone had talked like 5 minutes before. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, if there was a delay, would I even notice it? Because I wasn't, I'm not sitting there watching the chat. As soon as it comes up, I'm not answering. You know what I mean? So I think with the delay, since I'm just kind of coming back and answering the questions as they come anyways, and just glancing when I get a second, I don't think it's going to be too bad. I'm actually right now, it's just like on a 1 minute delay, just to at least offset. If someone is listening in, I think it'd be very easy to keep the Twitch streams up, especially if you can immediately see who you're next to, immediately go to Twitch, immediately see if they're streaming, and just kind of have it up in the background, like, ooh, I'm attacking so-and-so. If I can at least get a minute off of it, I don't see too big of a deal, because I don't expect also to be right there talking to them on every second they send a text.
Yeah, so what I wanted to say before, when I lost my train of thought, was that I think Snoogum said that making alliances before going into the game is discouraged. It was not entirely banned, but it was discouraged, and I was of the same opinion. And I like to think myself as a morally virtuous person. So, and I expect that of other people. So I respect you, Feka, for not going to Branks, bro, when you were sweating in your chair.
It took a lot. That was also in the first game we dealt with that, where me, Branks, Nihilus, Muse, like all of us landed in the same server because we didn't realize the thing. and everyone's like, oh man, like they're all gonna team, and we're like, we're not gonna do it. We didn't plan this for like whatever, and literally, Nihilus and I ended up killing each other because of that. Because it's like, what, your enemy in the game. Like, I'm not gonna pre-mate before. Obviously, we can do that, but like, I'm more interested in like a more natural progression of the game, and I don't want to use my advantage from playing Sovereign Space in a game of Dead Zone. So it's interesting.
I even noticed that the people that made too many alliances had problems because of it, because then they're like, okay, where do I go on the map? Especially with the new map being smaller. Like, if you make too many friends, you limit yourself and your options so much. Like, the most I'm willing to do or give concession is like, okay, I might kill you last, but like you gotta go somewhere. And I think the smaller the map gets and the more they push the whole narrative of conflict, it just will happen sooner or later. I think the more we will see the free for all aspect actually being a thing. You bring too many friends, you just limit yourself, I think.
Yes. So it's you want this mode to be, you want it to be competitive, but you also want people to have fun. So
as a spectator
to be
thing,
competitive, there needs to be some kind of prize, and but there needs to be a price at the end, that you get the people motivated to play the game in a competitive manner, so they do start the claim wars, that they do attack each other. And I think these rewards that they've been having, I think they've been a really nice boost to that.
Yeah, being able to like have some impact on the lore and just say like, oh, that little thing, that character exists because I won that thing and I got to decide the name or the background. That's a really enticing thing to go for. It's not just like, hey, you got a free t-shirt. It's like you have the ability to impact the future of the game lore-wise. I really like that idea. It's not for everyone. A lot of people don't even know that there's prizes at the end of this.
Can you guys hear me clearly? I think I'm lagging out, or just chat is kind of lagging out.
You broke up like one time during the conversation, but
yeah,
you've been clear.
Yeah, I missed Brankspro totally what he just said. If he answered something.
I was saying that I really like the rewards that they have. It's not just I won Dead Zone and I got a stupid T-shirt. It's I got to impact the lore, which it's long lasting. You get to go back to it and look at it and be like, yay, this is here because I won.
Yes, you leave a lasting impact on the game, which is a very nice prize. But it will be interesting to see in the future, when this game mode goes forwards, what they come up with, because there's only so much lore you can put on the Gatos Fritos banner.
more cows, come on. So that's a good segue. Gatos has been touched up. It has received a lot of buffs in comparison to the others, and it's on a lot of people's minds. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Oh man, you can go first, Cole, because I got all kinds of opinions on this thing.
So I probably should have tested Gatos out today when I had the chance, but I didn't, sadly. But I can say that saying that they got a buff that's or even a major buff, I think that's an understatement. I think this is huge. What they did to Gatos, I think Gatos was underappreciated even before. I really liked them. I played them in my first server, and in the finals I went boards because of course I did and everyone else did. But the fact, I think the biggest thing, disregarding light ships building faster and all those other small buffs, the fact that you can now on your assault movement, you can loot, it's a raid and assault in one. I think that's massive.
Yeah, it's the aspect of you gain while your target loses. Like the balance is not just like one has less or the other has more. It's both, right? You have more because somebody else has less, while you're also hopefully doing tons of damage. It can get really snowballed. It can get really oppressive. I'm interested to see how that plays out.
what really gets me, and I actually got to play Gatos today, just seeing, I was like, man, these guys are ridiculous. They also get plus 30 speed on assault movements,
Yeah.
which I love. Oh man, like just stacking up those things, getting more assaults out, getting your ships back faster for defense. I think there's so much bonuses, even as we see the Sovereign Space, where speed is just king. If you can do more actions, you're in the green. I just thought that extra assault speed was just unnecessary. I was like, oh, they changed it, and then like you see it says like remove the raid bonus. I was like, oh, okay, cool, but like add it to assault. I was like, what? Wait a second. So now we get to, not only do we loot on assaults, our assaults have just gotten better too.
Yes.
Oh.
So yeah, go ahead.
I was going to kind of continue to the other ones, unless you have something more to add, I guess, to the assault.
So I'll chime in here a bit.
Yeah.
I think because the other factions haven't been touched at all, or have gotten minor nerfs, the changes that happened to Gatos seem kind of like a lot. I mean, they were touched on a lot of small aspects. I guess it's a bit of a buff envy that's taking place there. It's before Gatos was basically useless because light ships are useless. They didn't touch the credit bonus much. Instead, credits got nerfed across the board, which makes that bonus a bit more impactful, I think.
Yep.
The light ships, they're more impact early game now for Gatos. If you Zerg rush that kind of play style, but at some point, like the heavy ships just start dominating the map, and you kind of fall off. To me, it's an early game faction or a psychological faction. Just yeeting your lights at everyone all the time could put a lot of pressure on your neighbors and make them maybe make bad decisions because they're pressured. It kind of depends on this dynamic, like how well do you play it, how bad do your opponents respond to it. Another thing that I think a lot of people underestimate is the fact that the light ship bonuses of building them cheaper and building them faster impact your industrials. They count as light ships. That's early game is huge. You get to the point where you have enough quicker, you get there cheaper. If you have to clear radiation, you can bounce back from that loss of industrials a lot cheaper and faster than others can. It's not as good as Surpass them, but it's got that thing that a lot of people underestimate, like just how impactful that is. I think Gatos, I'm not sure if it's overpowered or not, has to be seen, but I think it's in a really good spot now. Really interesting.
Yeah, and then we haven't even touched on the fact that light fleets are 25% larger. Like now they're just bigger fleets as well. They build 20% faster. Then you touched on the 30% reduction in light ships. All those light things, I just say indies. Being able to build indies for 14 resources a piece in the early game, opposed to 20 of each, is huge. Man.
Indies are by far
so good.
The most expensive ship, right? They're more expensive than your heavy ships. Like that reduction is so impactful. Especially early game when you have no resources. Resources also got nerfed across the board. Like the income you have on your station, nerfed. The stations, the resources on the map, a lot less. You have to go out of your way to get them. Like it's just that reduction and just building cheaper. It's big. It's massive.
Another thing with credits, with light fleets being 25% larger, you can have more fleets per. You need less credits because you have less fleets because you can, and you only have it's still like 10 fleets total. So now obviously you don't want to force yourself to be playing a lot of lights, as we've said like many times. Heavies are outrightiously better. However, you are getting the first org only buffs your lights, right? And the third org does also buff your lights. So like there is a place for lights. They're obviously not the best, but then also just being able to have a bigger fleet. You only have to card, one in every 4 you have to card now. You know what I mean? Because you got 25% larger. So it's just, just massive buffs across the board. Where I think even if Gatos got maybe 1 or 2 of these things, I would have still been playing it. And the fact that they got all of them, I'm ecstatic. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, it really feels Gatos it didn't get like the one slice; it got the whole cake in regards to these changes. Like this reduction or this increasing, or I'm sorry, lowering industrial resource cost and increasing the amount you can produce in a short time drags Gatos closer to Surpassum, where Surpassum, like their thing is that they don't lose industrials. Like that's their thing that they do, and they got nerfed with the speed, so it isn't as relevant longer. So Gatos gets dragged up to a bit up to their level, but also now with this improved assault movement, they also, this is like super motitus, it's not motitus, but it's like a super movement, you know.
You're putting the pain on Feka here. It's like the Monica's movement to speak useless. It's so painful. I think they just it's not that they don't like less patches. I think they just skip their patches for this beta wave. I think making good use of what lesser patches has to offer in the future is going to take some time to really get in there in the headspace. I think I rather they do it next beta phase and give it a lot of time instead of trying to half-ass it this time around. Like let's just pretend they don't exist. All right.
but hear me out. Why not just like give us a little bit of move speed on the Motita strike? You know, like Gatos get 30% on assaults, like Surpassum gets 20 plus 20 on indie movements. Like, why can't the Motita strike be a little bit faster? It doesn't bomb, it doesn't raid.
Why don't you just gray out that faction for this?
You should.
Like, don't
I would have felt better about it.
It's the noob trap. It's like I get to exchange resources. Whoop-de-doo.
You exchange resources with the building, so now you have to commit to a certain building to get down to a 1.5 because you're not using that. Like that, their ability isn't good without the building. Like whoop-de-doo, a 3-1 with no building. Like no one's using that. You know what I mean? Like if anything, it'd been cool if it was like a permanent 1.5, right, where you could just start off 1.5. Like then we'd be talking. You know, then we'd have some conversation about what's going on. But a lot of these building slots are really solid. I don't want to have to waste. My buildings, I didn't realize that until I played Gatos today. And I was like, holy crap, I don't have to use this T3 building through exchange resources anymore to make use of my one ability as Les Apaches because no one's Mochita striking because bombing's so solid. Now, Gatos Fritas bombing just got even better. Bombing got plus 30 speed is basically what happened. Now, and I'm also still resources from it. You know what I mean? It's like, what? Like, that's a buff to heavy ships. Like, no one else has this. Before Gatos, Fritos, and Les Apaches, in my opinion, were like the two offensive ones. And then you had like the two kind of creative ones between the Borts and Night Corps. And now it's just like, what? Gray out Les Apaches, call it a day. Let's end it.
Describing your feelings for Les Apaches, you just used the one allotted curse word we have per podcast, but I'll allow it because it's very fitting, right?
I didn't even realize I did. I get so upset. I'm like, why?
but I really think it's like, look, I've talked to some people about Surpassum, and I think Surpassum is still one of the most solid picks out there. I think really right now, looking at all the changes and what Gatos was in the last phase, it really is. Like they seem overpowered because you see they got all the goodies, right? Well, others weren't touched. You're not actively thinking about how good Surpassum is or all the shenanigans you can pull off with Night Corps if you use them right. I think we focused too much on that. Others got the toys and the other players didn't get anything. So I'd rather not they look at Gatos and be like, oh, maybe we overbuffed them. Like, no, please touch the other factions and make them really interesting and impactful picks.
And that's fair. I mean, that's okay.
So the thing that I was drawn to first in Gatos was the fact that they're all passive bonuses. And in the first server, when we really didn't know what we were doing, I went for Gatos because I didn't want to I had already enough to micromanage. So if I would have to exchange even more resources or send radiation or clean it up, then that would have been too much. But when I got used to it in the first game, then in the finals I switched to Surpassum because then I knew what I was doing. But now Gatos, they got even more passive buffs, so I guess like you could say they're the default faction to go. If you're not really sure about what you're doing, you get some passive bonuses, some really nice bonuses, and you don't have to micromanage your special abilities, you know?
I think with the map changes, right, and the way they're using the introduced mechanic of radiation now, I think Surpassum just got stronger, right? They nerfed the bonus speed you get on Surpassum, but let's be honest here, that was just way too much, right? They were more than double as fast as a standard industrial. But now, they buffed how often radiation happens on the map.
Yes.
And there's natural radiation that is blocking stuff. It's blocking you. Like on the outer side, if you don't want to fight and just go somewhere safe, you could take away radiation on the outer layer of the map and just plop down a station there. There's nothing really there apart from free space for you. And in the middle, you've got some juicy stuff there. I think radiation is going to be more impactful just by being there. So
Oh,
not
oh yeah.
spending any spending industrials, cleaning that up just means that Surpassum is a really good pick.
Oh yes, and Surpassum now. I realized it today that the radiation. I'm not sure how much they adjusted the frequency of when it spawns, but it felt like it was spawning a lot more
Yeah.
than in the earlier map. Apologies. Um, and what happened in the game today? The max radiation radius spawned right on top of me, and then without me even asking, my neighbor just sent me a message. I got you, and and started cleaning it up for me.
I got you, Cole, bro.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, easy way to get allies right there.
oh
But
yes,
that's a lot of people have said. Like, as Surpassum, you can just start cleaning up radiation for people, and you make them like you more, or rather, less likely to attack you because you did something nice for them. That's such a nice way of like meta using your ability to impact the
oh yeah,
diplomacy.
oh yes, like being the one who initiates, the good relations before they even ask you. That's huge because when they don't ask you and you send your industrials before they message you, that means they owe you before they've even thought about it.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody helps you clean up the radiation, you already feel like you owe them, right?
Oh yes,
They don't have
and
to tell you you owe
no,
me.
no,
You
and then
just
you feel.
feel it.
Yeah, and then you would feel bad about attacking them because they've been cleaning up your radiation.
But here's the thing now, with the center of the map being a juicy spot covered in radiation, and let's say you see a Surpassum player cleaning it up.
Mm.
It's like, you could be opportunistic and be like, oh, nice for cleaning it up, I'm just gonna plop down my station, or do you not want to do that to the Surpassum player because they're so nice and they're cleaning up all the radiation? It's a really tough choice you have to make. Like, do you want to go to the win, or do you want to be nice?
No,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I just like with these two being so good, right? Like now you're talking about the Surpassum and you're talking about Gatos. People in chat are really going on. Well, then what about Night Corps? Are they still the big bad? Are they still that scary? And that's kind of what I'm trying to imagine too, with the same dynamic where you're getting into, Branks, of like Boards are here cleaning up the middle, Gatos are over there doing their own thing, and now all of a sudden, do we ignore Night Corps? Like,
Yes, that's the thing. People talk so much about Gatos. Gatos got all the toys. They're going to attack you. They're going to bomb you. They're going to take your resources. They have such a good life. And Night Corps is just stealthily chilling in the corner. It's like, yeah, let's just wait until the last 30 minutes. You're all done. This is the meta game. Like, I talked to some people about this. Like, we haven't played a lot of matches, right? The meta, to me, hasn't really established. A couple of things have happened. People have heard about the raccoons. People have heard about the radiation. That's in people's heads. But really, for the meta to solidify, and even the meta gaming of all the abilities and how people treat each other and who's the bad guy and who's the good guy inherently, you have to play a couple more matches and see how all this dynamic plays out. And we're slowly starting to see how that happens. And it's so fun to just watch how people talk to each other. Like, oh, you're this Passum, you're the cool bro. And people used to hunt the Night Corps, and they're like, nah, I'm not so bad. Look at the Gatas over there. They kidnapped the cow. They're evil. Somewhere you can hear a crying little Indian voice.
No,
what about me?
You don't even hear it. That's what I'm saying. I think it's coming a lot more light now that there's only 3 factions. Like it's much like it's like all of a sudden the puzzle pieces are fitting together, right? Now that you take the 4th out and you're just like, you're completely useless, go away. Now that we have 3, they all kind of work with each other a little bit more. They're like pushing and pulling for like a power struggle. If you really look at all 3 of those, they're all so unique in the things they have. They are all kind of strong in that sense. Also, just the fact that if they really do overstrengthen, like if Gatos uses their things, we keep calling him an early game faction. That also means you make a lot of enemies early game because you're having to use it. Whereas Night Corps can sit there all game, and then Surpassum's kind of now that mid game thing. So now you have an early, mid, and late game factions. And like, where do you really, utilize that?
That's why I say, like, Gatos, how good or bad Gatos is depends on you and how people react to it. Like, if you overdo it and play way too aggressive, the people around you that might not have any deals with each other all of a sudden might just gang you. And you're like, okay, we got to deal with this dude. He's just way too toxic. And you're gone. So you got to be careful there. You got to fine tune it.
Yeah, I'm definitely still looking for the Night Corpse. For anyone wondering, I'm still hunting you down, but especially as Gatos, because you can't risk it. You're gonna end my game. I'm gonna play 4 hours straight of like a potentially flawless game if I can pull that off. And then all of a sudden, like, all right, 30 seconds left. The 4 Night Corpse players on the board just all hit you at the same time.
It doesn't have to be a Night Corpse. I know really well that it can just be a double tap sabotage to the very crucial, very crucial outpost. Like, when I had to deal with that, you sabotaged me. I had some time left. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go just repair it. And like, you didn't even notice that, but you sent 2 sabotages, and like 2 seconds after I sent my repair, your second sabotage hit. At first, I was upset, but then I thought, like, wait, that was. The coincidence was just too good. This is amazing.
I noticed. I knew that I saw you in the rankings, and I thought, okay, this guy knows how to play. He will most likely. He has time to repair it, and I saw you repair it. But then immediately after that, like 2 seconds before the game ended, my second fleet landed.
Yeah, that was at first I was like hurt and upset, but then I just thought about like how that pivotal moment, like how game-changing that can be, how impactful, right? And that's just it's more exciting to me that is possible than it is upsetting to me that I got robbed, right?
Yeah, it's one of the good one of the good sides in having sabotage in the game still in its current form, that it enables a place like that even if you're losing, if you build the right ships, you build the right buildings, you can still make an impact on the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, sabotage has its own problems. But in regards to this witch hunt, I'm gonna dig my own grave right here and say that well, I haven't been a part of this witch hunt, and I haven't played Night Corps yet. I haven't tried it, but I will dig my own grave and say I am not afraid of radiation. And I will not take a part of this witch hunt with you.
So at first I thought you were going to just outright say that you're going to play Night Corps, but now you're like teasing us. Like, okay, you're not afraid. Does that mean you're an ally or a friend? Are you gonna protect all the witches? Like, I mean, this is Salem. You're either with us or against us. Like, are you gonna burn? Or are you gonna float? What's up? Freaking witch.
Right.
It's cutting out. I heard you say.
I'll just recap. You got it coming.
How am I gonna be?
You got it coming, buddy.
You spawn next to me. What?
Yeah, it sounds like we've got some connectivity issues here. Sadly.
Well, I like the idea of like.
I think it's on this Discord. We have had this problem before.
Man. No, but I like the idea of metagaming it, being like, yeah, dude, I'm totally not afraid of them all. They're friends with me, and that way they don't radiate you at the end because they're like, oh, that guy hasn't messed with us. Like, that's probably my biggest
fear. Witches.
Right, hunting down a witch, and then all of a sudden, like, they're down like one station on the other side of the map, and you're like begging people, and they're like, but they're making deals like, dude, just don't mess with me, and I'll radiate him at the end of the game, and like, it's a win-win for the other side of the board, right? Like.
Do you think it's too big of a thing that the player placed radiation leaves a marker so you can tell?
That needs to happen. I mean, that has to be part of it, or else, yeah, I mean, there's just no way of countering it.
Yeah, but I'd wonder, like, if that wasn't a thing, like, how would the faction play out differently? You'd still be asking yourself, like, that radiation there is way too good. It's way too good. That can't be a coincidence, right? There, you've got that might game instead. So you think you placed that. I didn't see you, but that's probably you. You benefited way too much. And they're like, no, I'm not a Night Corps.
I mean, it'd probably be fun like the first time, but it would get so old so quick and so like monotonous of just being way too paranoid. Then you'd get to the point where you would just never assume it's a Night Corps, right? And then like there is no hunt again because you can't ever prove it. I like the fact that you can prove it. Like some son of a is around here being a Night Corps. I can prove it. I just can't prove who it is, you know. And I do like that angle.
If player-made radiation would not leave the debris field, then the scanner would be even more important than what it is now. It's already really important, but if that would be the case, that they would not leave the debris, it would be extremely important to build one of those immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good observation. It's like you'd only know it was player placed if right in the middle of that there was an industrial movement. Yeah, I'm wondering. Like, I'm neither for nor against the fact that it leaves debris, so you can tell. It's just I wonder, with the paranoia or the metagaming of we're all against them, how would that change if you weren't able to tell that it was player placed or not?
That might be an interesting thing to try out, maybe on some server, that they remove that and see how it impacts the game. Would definitely be interesting. But in regards to what I was saying earlier, if I see someone placing radiation, if I can identify someone who is acting hostile against me, I will not hesitate to move against them. But I'm just saying, I'm not afraid.
Oh man.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's how I felt when I played second match as Surpassum, which apparently surprised a couple of people. But like, when I didn't play Surpassum, radiation bothered me. When I played Surpassum, it's like, all right, I'm just gonna go and scoop it up. Right? It feels like if the whole aspect of RNG radiation and Night Corps is something that bothers you, Surpassum. I'm telling you. It's the feel-good faction.
It doesn't matter, because if it's with 1 second left, you can't clean it up. That's all I care about. Even as less Apaches, I don't care about Night Corps radiation.
You know what the solution is to your problem there? You just kill everyone.
Right. That's the only thing. But also, you can't do that as less Apaches. So once again, it's like
as who?
Yeah, exactly. But like it's I'm not afraid at all of Night Corps until the last second of the 4-hour match, which just feels horrible. If that's like what knocks you out.
I don't know how to feel about it. I know it's something that can happen. I haven't seen it too much.
Yeah,
right.
I was thinking about that. We haven't seen that happen yet, I think.
But does it take that happening and like before the change has to be made? Like, is one person just like that happens? Like, if you guys watch like American football at all, like a rule change will not happen, even if everyone acknowledges it's a horrible rule change, until it happens to a team in the playoffs and screws them out of like a spot and they're eliminated and they're like, ooh, we really should adjust that rule. And he's like, oh, okay, this makes things much better now.
I think,
in hindsight.
I think we're worried about that because every game is going to last 4 hours, right? The points get tallied at the 4-hour mark. So if somebody does that to you right before the 4-hour mark hits, everything you fought for can be impacted without you being able to do something against it. Now, if there was a threshold that you could meet with however you gather victory points, you could say like, okay, game ended by 3 hours because somebody already got there, hit the end.
600.
Yeah, 600 or whatever it is. Then that means that the Night Corps radiation isn't so feared by the 4-hour mark because it can be impactful whenever, and somebody can just end the game because they outright win it, right? It's not the radiation in itself, it's how it interacts with the entire system that makes that a bit of a problem.
Yes, a million times over. Yes. I would want nothing more in life than a just points cap. First guy to hit 600 claim. Then Night Corps would be hitting that person as they're getting to it, but it doesn't ensure you've lost the game because other people may not be there, right? And you can clean it up, and it might set you back for a few minutes, and someone else could beat you then. But even then, that means they weren't doing it for him, and they can see it more.
It's one of those things where you just have to wait for more development to this game mode to happen. It's like the less Apaches. We know they're bad right now. They're so bad. If you pick them, you just shot yourself in the foot, right? But I think we're all sure that next wave or the wave after, they're gonna take a good look at that, right? They can't do everything they can't do everything at once and make this the perfect game mode, perfectly balanced on the first attempt. So every now and then, at some point, they're going to look at radiation again and see how it fits into the game as it progressed from now to then. They're trying out a lot of cool stuff. I'm excited to see how that turns out.
Yeah, definitely. It's an experimental game mode, and I think we should be experimenting. We should be trying out all the different angles, and I would like to see a server with 24 Night Corps players and see how that would end up looking like.
Tell me when that is so I can run away.
Yeah, right.
I mean, yeah, they experiment a lot. They touched on credits quite a lot, right? They nerfed the credit building. They nerfed both the small and the large credit node. It surprised me a bit. Like, they nerfed both by 1k, but percentage-wise, the small one got hit a lot more, right? That went from 3k down to 2k. That's a third shaved off. The 6K went down to 5K, so that's around like 15 point something percent, a bit more there. Trist is going to correct me there, I know. So now the big nodes are a lot more impactful. The small nodes aren't as impactful. They're a bit trash in comparison. But because you now make less from the buildings you can build, the 2K becomes slightly better again. The 5K becomes really good. So I think with wanting to card your fleets as much as possible, really squeezing out all the stats you can, we're going to see a bit more fight over the credit nodes like we saw in some of the matches where that just turned into a slaughter that started off because of credits. And that again also makes the percentage credits increase that the Gatos gets more impactful. Right? Before, it was useless. You just swam around in credits, built the gold carded everything you needed. It didn't matter that you got like a couple percent more on the base. But now, that might just be what you're really after.
Well, to that point too, strategic hexes.
You were cutting out there again, but yeah, like the 5K.
Yeah, I think we're having more connection problems. But the amount of strategic hexes on the map have like, I don't know.
Can you hear me now?
Doubled.
Can hear you now, yeah.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yeah, I think I can hear you. So I hope you can hear me. So about the credits, the 5K credit node. Yeah, as you said, like I was thinking about that too. The importance of putting your second station over covering the 5K credit node and protecting that. Like that's gonna be a big part in the new map.
Yeah, I spent the day's test more looking at the map and trolling fear, by the way. So I looked at some of the spawns. I looked closer at the outer ring than I did on the inner ring. On the outer ring, I saw a couple of spawns, most of them, who had large credit nodes, really accessible, very close. You could just grab it with a fortress. Well, there were other spawns on the outer ring that didn't have that. And to me, with how impactful credits can be really early on and impact your economy, I think that should be looked at. That was the one thing that really stood out to me. With all the map changes, I like the vast majority of the map changes. That map is tighter. I think there will be a lot more combat. You can't just like grow wherever. Like by the third station, I was already looking at like, who am I going to bump into if I do this?
Who am I going to kill? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So it moved in a better place, but I think there's still some fine tuning. And again, I don't expect the perfect map right now, but I think those small things are a lot impactful with the game economy, right? Credits being part of that.
Yeah, it will affect balance for sure, but it might be deliberate to have people engaged in combat right from the get-go so that they prioritize the credits, even if they're a bit far away, because they're so important. That might be a deliberate thing.
Yeah. Still have to play a couple of matches to see how that plays out, really. I'm just knee-jerk reacting to it, kind of, but I'll have to see.
Yeah.
So, wait. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, specifically, I just felt bad because we did start the whole podcast with kind of like railing on the whole Gatos thing and railing on a few things. But once again, as we're talking about it, I love the new map compared to the old one. Even with the little minor things with the new map being maybe a little bit unfair here and there. Overall, I'm incredibly excited to play on this new map. Playing today really got me going with it. Yeah. I think they kind of like at least acknowledge that the middle is hard to play in, right? And they have given them some slight buffs to it, specifically being all of the outside spots that I saw. If you had if you ever did do the +1 claim radius on your station, you actually don't get a whole row of claim on the outside ring because the permanent radiation is actually in the way. It's only enough to have you have a 4 range station, which I was actually pretty surprised by. I'm wondering if it's intentional. I didn't like it at first, but then the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, to be fair, I would still rather spawn on the outside. There's going to be some mad lads that want to go to the middle. There's some juicy stuff in the middle. I think if you're going the surpass them, if you're going surpass in the middle, I think you could get a lot of bonuses out of, as long as no one gets jealous. As long as you don't get a jealous Gatos neighbor that just waits for you to, turn it all out and then kills you and takes the spot, that kind of stuff's going to be very interesting.
So what is actually in the middle? I was going to say, today, I didn't actually move my camera away from my stations at all. I didn't look at the map at all. No time.
You done goofed. You were there to look at the map, but you just
Yeah,
played. Try hard. There's some strategic hexes. I think there was some victory points there. There was global movement speed and just some goodies.
A lot of move speed from what I saw. It was
Yeah.
like I think 6 or 8 of the move speed things around, and then the ever living layer in the middle.
They turned it down though. For the test they did on Wednesday, there were a lot more things in the middle there.
Yeah. So
That's what excites me a bit about the middle. Like spawning on the outside, apart from the little like small strip of radiation that you could like take away to expand with nothing really there but empty space. You could go to the left or the right towards your neighbors or to the middle. That's all the options we really have. In the middle, you could clean up. You could go towards your neighbors. You could expand towards the outer ring and do it diagonally. I feel like spawning in the middle is a bit advantageous. It seems, absolutely understand that it feels like you're surrounded. You're done for. But at the same time, I think you have more options.
I think on paper, the middle looks great right now. Like, I think they did an amazing job making the middle not feel like it's a death sentence, which it did kind of feel like in the previous map. So on this map, on paper, it looks good. It feels good. We actually had this talk with Don and a few of his friends last night. And then he got to the middle this time, and he was talking about just how many people truly are around you and how you are kind of like, there's still that human element of like, you do kind of have that, you know, in your, even if it's just in your head, there's people everywhere. Where do I go? How do I do it? It's in closing in. And he was like, I may have changed my mind a little bit about, you know, spawning in the middle after having played it. But I do like that it at least, you got a chance now. I think you'll see some people make it to the finals from the middle, at least more so than you did before.
So, what you can do with Surpassum, or if you have, if you in the grace time in the beginning, if you plan out stuff, if you get your neighbor playing Surpassum in the middle, you can get them to clean out the middle, and you can let them build their station in the middle, so they get the. You tell them, okay, you get the victory points, that's nice, and then you give them the stargates, and that gives them more speed, and then they can clean up your radiation. And they will do that because you gave them the middle spot, and then you can protect them, and you can play in the middle. Yeah, if you start cleaning up the middle, there's actually a lot of space you can expand to.
So you say be nice to your neighbors for self-serving reasons?
If you need a reason.
Yes, we will learn from our.
There's no altruism in space, I'm telling you.
No, you're totally egotistical.
Well, someone actually mentioned it. They're talking about a little bit ago about like a quote best alliance structure, and I know once again we're not going to be able to avoid pre-mades, but it is something to think about as terms of when you get into a game, messaging your neighbors. Yeah, you'd have to trust them, but be like, hey, what faction are you, right? And be looking for those players. Pick up a Gatos friend early because you know they're going to be nasty early. And as a Gatos player, maybe if you find out your neighbors are Night Corps, I doubt they would tell you, but if they do, be like, hey man, I can help you early game, just don't mess with me later game. You know what I mean? And maybe who might find some enemies. So there's definitely some transition to that and thinking about what kind of teammates do I want? Not necessarily who's closest or who do I know, but also, you know, what faction are. And I think
yeah, it's also a personality test of sorts. If you pick Surpassum, you like to help people, you're outgoing or selfless. But if you're Nightcore, then you like to keep people hostage.
Yeah, don't mess with me all game. That's another pretty early game tactic. Could just be like, you know, tell everyone your Night Corps around you and like, hey man, just don't mess with me and I won't radiate you at the end of the game.
Exactly.
Like, we can be friends, you know? Like, that's another way of like, yeah, I'm a witch, but I can be your witch.
That's one way of getting away with playing Los Apaches.
Oh god. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. He was Los Apaches the whole time.
Just call out the Les Apaches player, and then he will be like, no one wants to do anything with him.
Yeah,
you touched a bit on the pre-mades here. I don't want to go into this. I think that the way they did spawning this time around is a bit more better than last time, where they're just like, hey, all of you jump into the server, and then you jumped in there with your friends, and they're like, that's what the servers will be like. Like, okay, thanks for that one. This time they randomized what servers we land in on, but then they told us
Yes.
And now you can look at, oh, who's there, and you can start making deals. I don't get it. Like, okay, I understand. Like, running tournament formats, there are different ways of going about it. There's pros and cons to everything, and one element of it is experience, just learning from your mistakes. And I know as a community that has stood up with a tournament server, the flu one, the entire verbiage of a tournament server is just like, oh, you don't really want to deal with it. It sounds like daily quests, and I don't like that. But they're improving it. I hope it gets better. But this one was, please, don't do that again. Close. Can you please re-roll 5 minutes before the thing starts? Or just put it on the account. Don't tell anyone. You click log on, and that's when you see who you're on the server with. It's like, if you really want to push the free-for-all and discourage teaming and pre-mating, you got to do more than you just did. But I know, it's like a lot of their programmers are at home right now. It's summer. They're a small indie company. But this just... no bueno.
No, so what I was planning to do... so in the first server, the qualifier server, I actually messaged my neighbors, and that's how we got Fake Dog into the finals. But it was Fake Dog, me, and 2 other guys, Mistro and someone else, and we made an alliance. We were on Discord, but it was organic. It happened in the game.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what I was afraid of in the finals, because I knew people knew each other, and they had some deals going on. So I just wanted to go in there totally solo. And then I was so into it, I was so absorbed by the game that I just, I sent some hello to some of my neighbors, and then I just immediately jumped on Triss when you can see my reasoning in the video.
You had a long talk about it afterwards as well, right?
Yeah.
I even sent you a hello. When I plopped down that fortress, I sent you a hello. So he's like, hey, I'm just here for the victory points. I'm not going to mess with you. But watching you stream afterwards, I saw that you relogged right as I did that. So you didn't get my message.
The funniest thing about, I don't know if it was that relog, but someone attacked my station, and I was trying to send away my resources, and the attack landed at the very second I sent away my resources, and my whole game crashed.
Oh. Yeah, I'll show that clip on stream last night. He's like,
so,
see the stream, yeah.
It's so weird. Like, sometimes I had the very first match I played, and my game got super laggy, and I was afraid of relogging because, like, sometimes it's just like you either lag and you stand up with it, or you try relogging and you can't get back in. Like, we've all had those experiences, right? So I didn't want to relog.
Sorry, it's cutting out again.
Oh, yeah, I was just saying that I had some lag issues during the first match last tournament, and I didn't want to relog for the fear of not getting back in. And I think it was because I used the repeat shipbuilding on all my stations, right? And so I got these like super bugged out ship queues. Like they just told me like scroll to the very top and finish that one. You said, yeah, my queue is like 500 long. I'm not going to sit here and scroll for 15 minutes. I can't do it. So I just had to stand out with it. But I think a relog would have saved me. But then again, like I didn't want to take the risk. It's a beta game. Like we know what it is. It's some stuff happens. First match we didn't have a game timer. Somebody misjudged that, and I think that it even went on a little bit longer. We'll have to deal with it. I know it sucks that it's counted as a tournament if the beta thing is truly as beta and buggy as it is, but as long as we're having fun, right, and it gets better.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, as much as you can hope for in a beta, right?
Yes, I totally missed what you were talking about. Really weird cut out.
You just don't like me, do you?
Yeah, it's every time, right?
Yeah, it's every time I talk. It's a Swedish-Finnish thing, I know. Yeah, I'm excited for tomorrow. No matter how it goes, like how far any of us get, I hope we have a lot of fun again. It surprises me how much I personally latch onto this game mode. Took me by storm. I was not prepared for that.
Yeah, it's been slowly growing. So it's one of those things. I haven't necessarily been like the biggest hype train for it. I've tried to help with the hype a lot as much as I can. I try to get into it, the lore side. But I can't help but think about it. And when the tournament comes up, I do get excited for it. And once again, I've mentioned 100 times over, I'm not the biggest free for all guy. Even when I would play games that are commonly free for all. If you're playing something like Call of Duty back in the day, and I didn't like the free for all, right? I want to be on voice with my friends, and I want to play the team game, and I want to be able to call out things. So I think it is a natural progression. I think eventually we will get it, and I'm super excited to be part of making this game what it is. I know it's not perfect right now. I know we give EXO a hard time, especially right now. We did the same to Snigums, if that makes them feel better. But at the end of the day, I'm ecstatic, and I'm excited to see like Solid Crowds grow out of just one thing too, instead of just one trick pony. Like this is genuinely fun. Like I'm honestly having a good time with it.
Yeah, I think they do the free for all because it's like easy to build the framework of the game and get all of that in place before you start worrying about team balance. Like let it be unbalanced. Let people throw hard, or one guy just steal a win from somebody else. Just let that be a thing. It's exciting to watch and build the framework of the game. And then once all of that is there and you're sure like what direction you want to go and where you want this to end up, it's much easier to do the team stuff and the balance for that later on.
Yep.
Yeah, I really love this game. But if I didn't make it clear on my streams, like this is the exact kind of game, like or game what I've been looking to play for a long time.
Yeah,
and
your WOD, you were super excited to play. Like you got pummeled hard, and at one point you were, I think, a bit depressed of how bad it was going for you. But you got back in there, and just that to me, like watching your stream showed me that this can be a really good spectator game. Like just going through the thick and thin with you, and even watching you like just destroy me in the end. Like it felt interesting to watch. It's a emotional game in the free for all format, and I really like it for that.
Yeah, I mean, imagine all the plot twists that happen in the normal Sovereign Space game over the course of a few months, but squish it down to 4 hours, and you can see all those emotions I'm going through. Like you have to reorient yourself all the time. Like, okay, now I'm getting bummed out. Okay, maybe I can't win. Okay, maybe I can do something else. Like, you need to come up with things to do.
Yeah,
when things don't go your way.
Just direct your end game move away from me next time. All right.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say earlier before I cut out about the greatest time that we have in the beginning. So in the finals, I got a bit demoralized because I knew people were already making alliances. So I tried going into the game and maybe making some alliances organically, but then I was so absorbed by the game that I didn't really manage to do that in the finals. But tomorrow, I promise, even if they now publish the server list and who is playing where, and people are messaging each others, I'm gonna try to stay away from that and just go with the organic stuff and really try to message and talk to my neighbors. And I think it should be easier on this map than on the previous one, because on the previous one you had people all around you, and okay, well, I guess you do here too, but you have your specific neighbors next to you that you can send messages to and start making something up.
It feels more structured with the double donut map here. I like what you said, like, yeah, we see the team lists, but I think like if people start making deals now and they spawn on opposite sides of the map, like what does the deal give you, right? It's more natural, like okay, you're my neighbor, let's get a touch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm excited and ready to also basically commit to that same thing. I think also Twitch streaming, it'd be very obvious if you went into a stream, into a game, and you already had your teammates, like, or people already messaging you. So like, I'm super committed to also just super not doing pre-mades. Even if I make it to the finals, we won't do pre-mades. I like, and I know Exo mentioned this too, like that is one of the good parts about free-for-all that you get, is that super like real, like non-artificial, like flow of politics and meeting people and like working together more out of necessity instead of like, some, pre-made deal that you had before. It's more fun. Obviously it's not as strategic. It's not, you're obviously getting a much better advantage if you just do the pre-made. But I think it's more genuinely fun. And at this point in the stage of the game, I understand the game's not balanced. Bugs are still going to happen. I'm not playing to win right now.
No.
It would be nice. It'd be so cool to win, right? Like I would not complain for sure, but that's not why I'm here. I don't care about being the king of Deadzone when there's only 100 people playing total. I'm more interested down the line when it becomes competitive and there's thousands of people playing, and then you're like, you're climbing the ladder. That's where I want it. Right now, I'm down.
Yeah, and that circles back to what I said in the beginning. Like, the point is experimental game mode. Yeah, there's a nice prize, but the point is to have fun and find your own way of having fun. Try out the factions, play styles, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, and fun it is so much. Like 4 hours of stress, but stress fun.
Oh yes, yeah. That's a really rare, I think, feeling I get from games nowadays, that they give me like real stress and I begin like sweating.
Yeah. It's the emotions, man. Like,
Oh,
to
yeah.
draw it out of you.
Yeah, and I saw you like drumming on your table and stuff like that. I'm just going, okay, what do we do now? Like, it's super. Like, I put on some white noise in the background, like rain and stuff like that. Just I went away for like 5 minutes in the middle of the match and got a cup of coffee. Right, I was excited. Still, like, I don't express it in the same way, and I didn't stream. But maybe that would bring it out. But even though I might sit here and seem like I'm an emotional dead, I was super excited, and I had to take a day off afterwards to just decompress.
Oh yeah.
And like I've said 100 times before, I was on the absolute edge of my seat even more. So I can only imagine we were in there. I do hope to make it to the finals this time. I'm not just going to role play, plot armor my way through it. I will admit I'll try a little bit harder this time, but regardless, I think it'll be a lot of fun.
But by the way, just to finish this off, what do you think about the fact that EXO posted a poll asking people what faction they were going to play? Like, isn't that like pure bait? You're just going to give away what you're going to play and you already decided and locked in. You're not just going to spawn in and let this happen. It's like...
oh, it's definitely bait. And I already know that one guy who clicked on Nightcore. Well, he said to me that he's not going to play it. He just clicked it for the fun of it, but who knows?
Yeah, that poll, I'm not going to go near that. I saw that poll and just noped right out.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for being with us today, Kolbjorn. It's been amazing talking to you, even sadly with some of the lag problems we've had. But I hope to be on the same server as you and partake in the same action as you. I just hope I'm not going to be on the receiving end.
It was a pleasure to be here, guys. And also, we didn't touch on it, but me and Fick are playing on the same server tomorrow.
Yeah. We're neighbors in this server, so, it's destiny.
All right, exciting times ahead of us.
Absolutely. Pleasure, man. Thanks so much for coming on. Thanks so much for everyone that's watching. See you guys tomorrow.
Yeah. See you on the battlefield.
July 25th if you're listening to this later.